Okay, so we talked about my very first purchase, all right? Accidentally bought a piece of foreclosed land at an absolute auction. So let's talk about the first piece of property that I bought and made money on. All right. First land I bought was December of 12, and then I kind of got a little bee in my bonnet that I wanted to do more, and that there must be more opportunity out there for me. So I started looking around in 13 and trying to pay attention, and I'm still trucking at this point. Like, I'm working 80, 90, 100 hours a week, on call all the time, trucking, selling trucks. I did our drug screening, so I was collecting urine specimens and mailing them. And I was doing safety meetings and training guys as surface miners and doing all sorts of DOT and dump truck training at the time. All right. And I saw my mom getting rent checks, some from the family real estate holdings, some from her rental houses, and I decided I wanted some of that. And so, I'm in my 20s, and I was like, you know what? I got a little bit of a savings account, and Mom buys properties on Rutledge Pike. Maybe I could find a little house on Rutledge Pike and buy it and rent it. Mom does it. Must be fine. So I started looking around on Rutledge Pike, and I saw a for sale by owner sign, but I didn't know where it was, and I never stopped and took the time to read the number or call on it. So one day, there was a sign that went up, and the sign said auction. Absolute auction. And it was my buddy Justin Phillips, putting a sign up for Powell Auction, and it was a house down the street from me, probably 8 houses away from I was, and I saw him put up the sign, so I whipped it in there, and I was like, dude, where's this house? Let's go look at it. And so I went and looked with him, and he had just listed the house for auction, and he was taking pictures of it so that we could start advertising it, and I was still working for his family's auction company at the time. I was still, and I was like, well, good, I'll just come to this auction, I'll work it, and I'll see, what everything's selling for in the neighborhood. Sounds great. And then I was like, wait a second, this house is in my neighborhood. I should buy this house. So then I called my brother, and I was like, you know what? Let's be real estate investors. And he was like, hold on, what? I thought you were going to call and want to go to dinner. You want to buy houses? And I was like, yeah. And there's going to be an auction, and we need to go buy it. And it's going to be great, and we're going to be rich. And I need some help. Do you have any money? And my brother was like, yeah, okay, let's be real estate investors. How much is this going to cost me? And since I'm the oldest child, he's used to doing whatever I say. He knows he's either going to agree to it and go with it, or he's going to not agree with it and go with it. So he has chosen very smartly to just agree with it and go with it. So I was like, sweet. All right, you're in. We're going to buy this house at auction. And now all we got to do is wait 6 weeks. Well, I don't know how much y'all know about me or my style, but Patience and I, that's funny. So what I did was I decided that maybe we should buy something before the auction. So I got on Craigslist the next day and looked for sale by owner houses, and I found another one that was close to Rutledge Pike. I called them. I set up the appointment. We went and looked at it, and my brother and I was going to drag him along on this adventure whether he wanted to go or not. So we set up the appointment, and we got to the house, and when we saw the for sale by owner sign, the FSBO sign, when we saw it from the road as we're going up into the neighborhood where this house is, I was like, I've seen this sign 100 times. I've never paid attention to it. I have never called on it. I've never even thought about going and looking at this house. But now that I found it on Craigslist, well, let's go look at it. So when we got there, the person who was selling the house, it's his wife's grandmother's house. So when the grandmother had passed, she left this lady the house, but this lady has a job and she's not a salesman or whatever. So her husband had it on Craigslist. So it's a lady and her husband that meets us there. She has inherited this house and she just doesn't want it. It doesn't have any updates. It's not the right part of town for them. It's the old family place, and she just wants to sell it and get rid of it and get her money and go. All right. They probably wanted to flip their own kitchen or something. I don't know. I don't remember now. But we shake hands and say hi and, exchange some howdies. And then we walk up to the house. And as they open the door, I swear, y'all, it was like a cartoon. I could just see this of stale, dusty, dirty, blech, air just like explode out of the house, like, because it was hot and summer in East Tennessee and it's like musty and stuff in there, and so it just goes poof, and I get hit in the face with this old house smell. But I tried to keep my poker face on him because I see these people and they don't seem fazed by it at all. They're just like, yeah, come on in. And so they go in, and so I go in, and Tyler goes in, and I look around, and there's still some family stuff there, but for the most part, I'm just seeing like thick shag carpet full of dust and mold, and I'm good. All right. Like at this point, I was like, yeah, I don't really want this house. But we'll go ahead and look through it. So they showed us the kitchen, which needed to be gutted. They showed us it had 4 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms. So we looked at that, and I was like, all right, it's not so bad. It's still 4 1.5 bathrooms. That's fine. We could probably buy this. And then the guy who's showing us around, he was like, y'all want to see in the basement? And I was like, nope, I'm good. Don't want to see in the basement. And Tyler was like, yeah, let's go see in the basement. And I was like, okay, but you're going first. So they open the basement door, and there's no lights on down there. So the guy goes, and then Tyler goes, and then this is a good part of the story to tell you that I am scared of heights. I hate steps that don't have the backer, the kick plate on them. So if you just got the step, and there's nothing on the back, I don't like those. I'm also terrified of snakes. Don't like snakes, okay? Mr. No Shoulders and I, never been friends. Don't care about him. Only good one's a dead one. I don't care what you say or what they eat. Don't like them. Don't want to deal with it, all right? So, I can see my brother going down these steps, and I know I don't want to go down in this basement. I know I don't want to go down these steps. And sure enough, he turns around and he's like, all right, Whit, I'm at the bottom. And so he shines his phone flashlight up there so that I can come down, and I don't want to look like a jackass. So I'm like, okay. Start down the steps, no backs, 2nd floor, and I'm going, and it's dark. And as I get to the bottom, that's about the same time that the woman's husband, that's showing us around, finds the light switch, and it's one of those creepy ones on the chain in the basement. You know what I'm talking about? You can just hear it in your head, right? As soon as he does that, I step to the last step and see the snake skin. Oh, gosh. Ugh, I hate it. Hate them. And I was like, well, that's enough. Back up the stairs I go. Completely ignoring that I'm scared and that my foot's going to go through the back of the steps. I am hauling boogie back up to the top. Snake skins down here. That means there's snakes down here. I am not going to be caught down here with these snakes. So I don't even look at the basement. I don't care. It's a basement. We get back outside. Tyler looks around the basement, and he's like, yeah, it looks fine, whatever. We get back outside, and we're standing on the hood of the car, and I was like, okay, how about I give you $25,000 for the house? And the guy was like, that's pretty low. Let us think about it overnight, and we'll call you back. They think about it, call back the next day, and they're like, we'll take 25. And I was like, well, how much is it worth? How much work is going to be needed to be done to it? Like, do I even have $25,000? Oh, crap. What have I done? So, I'm like, great. Let's sign the contract. So I think I faxed them the contract. Because that's just how we did things back in 2013, I guess. So I faxed them the contract, got it signed. Anyway, about 3 or 4 weeks later, we're at closing. Tyler and I scraped up $25,000 between the two of us, and we bought this house. And what, the best part of this so far is that we still don't have a clue. Like, we've never flipped a house. We've never done anything with the house. We don't know what this is going to cost. Like, we're just really excited that we're going to be buying a house and we're going to be real estate investors. I mean, Mom does this all the time, and all she does is, pretty it up a little bit, stick a renter in there, and she gets her money back, right? How difficult could it be? So we get to closing, and we sign the paperwork, exchange the money, everything's good, done, whatever. And I go to shake this guy's hand, and I'm like, whatever, congratulations. And he was like, man, I am so glad you bought this house because nobody else in town offered us nearly as much money as you did. I'm sorry, what? You could have told me that before I gave you too much money for the house. And he was like, and I said, oh, I'll be fine. It's good. Yeah, we got a plan. We had no plan. We had no idea what we were doing. I was pretty sure $25,000 for a house was a really stinking good deal. Turns out it wasn't such a good deal. And we couldn't just rent it because it didn't have a heat and air unit. It had an old potbelly stove, like, in the basement, which I would have seen if I'd stayed in the basement, but I didn't because I was scared of the snake skin. They didn't ever see a snake, they just saw the snake skin. So the heat source was out of a potbelly stove in the basement, which is not up to code. There was no air conditioning unit, and I don't know about you, but who wants to rent a house that doesn't have air conditioning? I didn't realize how expensive it was to put an air conditioner unit in a house, or how expensive it was to run the ductwork to put an air conditioning unit in a house. I also, because I didn't walk around the back of the house, I would have maybe noticed that there wasn't an air conditioner unit, and I would have also maybe noticed that there was a huge crack in the foundation. Like, you could see outside from the inside. And so when I started talking to contractors about, painting or doing the flooring or doing whatever, they all kept telling me I needed to fix that crack first. I didn't want to fix the crack. I didn't think it was a big deal. Everything was fine. Well, then Tyler had a buddy who was studying structural engineering, and he just came out and looked at it, and he was like, yeah, the house is falling down this mountain. You're going to have to fix that crack. So that was a $10,000 lesson. We ended up jacking the house up, taking the whole foundation off of 3 sides of it, completely out, putting new footers in, and rebuilding the basement walls on 3 sides of the house. It cost us $10,000 that I was not planning on spending. And this is also around the same time that the auction is about to happen. Remember, I started this with an auction. And in the middle of waiting on this auction to happen, I bought a house that needed to be completely redone. And I pretty much spent my entire life savings on that first house. So now that I've closed on the Burns Road house, I found out that I had to put an air conditioner unit in it and re-plumb the whole thing. I found out that the foundation is bad on it, and it's going to cost us $10,000 to redo the foundation. And then I found out that the plumbing was cast iron pipes from the road to all of the plumbing fixtures. And I was going to have to re-plumb the whole house. Next on the list, my electrician went over. Or I should say, an electrician went over, because he wasn't mine yet, to talk about, putting some new lights up and doing some stuff. And he was like, this house won't pass codes. The electricity has been off on this house for like 10 years. And it's still got the old fuses, like the dial fuses, not the breaker boxes. It's going to cost like $8,000 to rewire this whole house and get it up to code so you can even get power on. Okay, so you're telling me I just spent $25,000 and now it's going to cost me $10,000 to do the foundation. It's going to cost me $8,000 to get it rewired. It's going to cost me $8,000 to get it replumbed. And it's going to cost me about $8,000 to get a unit and all the ductwork inside of it. Holy crap, what have I done? So I was a little discouraged the week going into the auction, but that didn't stop me. All right. I still, thought that, maybe somehow I'll deal with that house in a minute. What I need to do is buy this other house at the auction. And at this point, Tyler and I probably had another $25,000 that we could use before we were completely out of money. So we had a choice. Do we put $25,000 into the house that we've already bought and do 2 of the projects that need to be done? Or do we take that $25,000 and buy another house? What would you do? If you had $25,000 left between 2 people, would you fix what you've already bought, or would you go buy something else? Because we went and bought something else. Maybe we're not very smart, but maybe we're more stubborn than we are smart. Because we went to the auction and I told Mom, I said, worst case scenario, I have to work this auction, so I can't bid on it, but I want you to go up to $30,000 on it. And she was like, you only have 25. And I was like, just go to 30. All right. So the auctioneer's there. I'm working the ring and, trying to get bids. And everybody knows that I'm there and I want to buy the house, but I can't bid on it. My mom's there. She's a buyer. She can bid on it. So my mom bids up to $30,000. And the guy that I was working with hit again for $31,000. And Mom, all on her own, goes and hits again at $32,000, and my guy quit. So we ended up getting that house for $32,000, and we had 30 days to come up with $7,000, which, I guess I sold a whole bunch of trucks, and we ate peanut butter and jelly and didn't go out for 3 or 4 weeks, and somehow together we brought in another $7,000 and closed on that house. So that's how I got my first 2 houses. Before I knew anything about creative financing, before I knew what a flipping formula was, before I knew really even how to bid at auction, before I knew what an exit strategy was, before I knew how to do research, before I knew how to write a contract, I just went out and started buying houses. No clue. And that house, the second house that we bought, we had to put a tub in it because it had a clawfoot tub, so we had to put a shower surround in it. We probably spent another $1,000, and then we rented it. We closed in early October, and on November the 1st, Tyler's birthday, I rented it. And we got $800 a month and $800 security deposit. So the money that we spent to redo the bathroom, we had back in our pocket. But that November, later in November, after I rented that house, that's when I went to my first lease option class and found out about lease options. I did 2 deals. I did 2 house deals before I had a plan, before I knew what was going on. So we ended up renting that house for about $800 until the next May. And by that point, I really gotten into lease options. And so I'll tell you more about the rest of that house later.